The S&P 500 made another new high last week, and it ended the week with a spinning top type of indecision candle. Now, based on last 20 years, there's been 8 times that the S&P 500 has been up 7 consecutive weeks, and 4 out of those 8 times, in other words, 50% of the time, it will continue to go up or it will follow with a down week. So it's a coin toss of which way the market might be headed in the coming week, up or down. So we're going to take a look at this price action a little bit more and see what we could glean from that price action to give us a clue of what to expect in the coming week. Looking at this daily chart on Tradingview for the S&P 500, you can see that on Friday it finished with a negative candle here, and it seems like it's forming evening star type of candle. So based on that, we could be looking at a price possibly pulling back a little bit next week. And there's a gap here at 7,300 level. So we could be watching this gap to come down and, watch the price to come down and fill this gap here. And if we take a look at the 30-minute chart of the S&P 500, we can see that the market is pricing in the upper range between 75.40 and 75.31.20. And the lower range is between 72.85.80 and 72.30. And notice that the upper edge of the lower range is right inside, in the middle of this gap fill. So basically the market is pricing in, if the price come down the lower range, to fill this gap and even possibly come into this gap here down at the 72.33 level. So look for these gaps to be in play next week if the price start to come down. And you could also see that we have these moving averages, start rolling over, turning down here. And this right here, we're basically looking at 7,400. If it break this 7,400 level in the coming week, then we could be looking at the price moving down. There's another possible support here at the 73.39 and 73.40 area. Then once that break, we could look at this lower range to be in play and basically put this gap in play. So that is the downside for the S&P 500. Now for the upside, it has to get back above this. Basically, it looked like a little bit of a double bottom here. If it could get above this level here at 74.54, 74.55, and fill this Friday opening gap and come back up to the 7,500, then the all-time high would be back in play. And once a all-time high is put in, a new high put in, then it probably will target this upper range at 75.40. Now let's take a look at the SPY, the ETF for the S&P 500. On this 30-minute chart here, I put in a composite volume profile from this low to the recent price, and you can see this point of control here, the price with the highest traded volume is somewhere around 737.31. So this is the level to keep an eye on for the coming week. If the price dip below this level, then we could see that possibly come down into this high volume area, which is somewhere around this 731, 732, to see would it be able to find some support. And if it's unable to find support, then we can see it come down to this gap fill here and into this lower range of the weekly expected move, which the market is pricing in somewhere between 726.50 and 720. Now, if the price come back and reclaim this trend line here, this short-term trend line, and come up to this pivot high somewhere around 743.50, then this low volume zone would most likely be taken out. The price would come right to and come back up to this high volume area somewhere around 748, and the all-time high will be back in play. And if the at the SPY makes a new all-time high, then the upper range will most likely get tagged, and the market is pricing in this upper range between 752 and 751.60. And for the emini S&P 500 future, we also see that the point of control is right here at 74.19 and a quarter. Basically is the composite from the swing here to the present price, this low back in April 29 and to the present price. So the highest traded volume price level is 74.19 and a quarter. So right now we're basically looking at the possibility of breaking to this point of control and come down to this high volume node somewhere around 73.66, then see would it be able to get a bounce, and unable to reclaim this point of control and get back above it, then we could see the price work itself down to fill this gap and look where the lower range of the weekly expected range for the ES that the market is pricing in between 72.89 and 72.45, and basically into this lower gap here. So it says pricing in for this gap to get filled if the price come down to the lower range of the weekly expected move, and possibly put this gap in play. Now, if the price could reclaim the point of control and get back up above this pivot somewhere around 74.76, then we can see the price come back up, try to work itself up to the 75.28 and into the all-time high. If it is putting in a new all-time high, then this upper range, the weekly upper range between 75.80 and 75.47 could be in play. And here looking at the NQ, the emini nasdaq 100 future, you can see that the point of control here at 29,284.25 has already been breached. The price on Friday actually closed below that, and once again it is basically the composite volume profile from the April 29 low to the current price. So right now we'll basically be watching this right here, this volume dent here at 29,072 area. If the price move below this level, look for the price to try to come down and tag these high volume node here. And the first one is 28,879.50. Then the next one is 28,683.25. So you look for these node, and if it is unable to get a bounce back up, then we'd be looking at this lower range of the expected move to be in play. And that would also put this gap in play here, and the market is pricing in the lower range between 28,407.50 and 28,150. Now, if the price could reclaim this point of control, then look for this pivot high here at 29,490. If it could get back above this, then look for the price to move to this low volume zone and back up and try to target up this high volume node at 29,704.25. Then that would put the all-time high back in play and possibly get up this to this upper range where the market is pricing in 30,050 and 29,938.50. And looking at the QQQ on this 30-minute chart here, we also see the price is below the point of control here, the composite point of control at 710.83. So if the price continue to move down, the first thing we want to see is this right here, this low here, somewhere around 705.50 to see would it be able to hold. And if it's unable to hold that level, then we're basically looking for the next high volume node down here at somewhere around the 700 area. Then the next high volume node, if that 700 unable to hold, then we're looking at this 794, 7095, and that will fill this remainder of this gap here. Then if this doesn't hold and the price doesn't bounce back up, we'd be looking at the lower range of the weekly expected move to be in play, in which the market is pricing in between 690.10 and 681, and that would also put in this gap in play to be filled. Now, if the price could reclaim the point of control and come back up to this pivot high at 715, then we look for the price to move to this low volume zone and back up to this high volume node at 720.28. This area, then the all-time high is back in play. If there's a new all-time high, look for the upper range. And the market is pricing in a very narrow range for the upper range of this week's expected move. And that is somewhere around that 729 area. So look for that to be in play if a new all-time high is made. So those are the price action scenario for the coming week. And as you can see right now, the critical level to watch is 7,400 for the S&P 500. If it dipped below that 7,400, then we could look at the lower prices down here and possibly get down to this 7,300 area. And if you want to get a little bit more in depth of the market analysis for this coming week, go and check out my newsletter at Substack, the Pulse of the Market. And here's the link, smtraderCA.substack.com. I also place the link in the description below. And go check out this post here on the weekly market review, and that will give you a little bit more detailed analysis of the overall market and also the market internal. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your trading.